Yo, haha, Magnificent.
Well, this is kind of unexpected, but what is good, YouTube? Your boy Magnificent back with another video. Today, we got the Air Jordan 1 Chicago, aka Lost and Found. I mean, I don't care what you want to label this. This, to me, is a very creative shoe that I'm sure a lot of people want to have in their lineup. So before we get into the shoe, I'm going to go over a few things just to kind of summarize things so people get a better perspective. When I'm going over the shoe, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Understand that this shoe has released several times, right? So Peter Moore, who was the creator of the Air Jordan 1, dropped this shoe basically in 1985, but it was created in 1984. Now, you got to understand that back then, back in the 80s, it's not like what it was today. So we see an Air Jordan 1, and depending on the colorway, I mean, it just flies off the shelves, whereas back in the day, the shoe game wasn't really like that. So Jordan also wasn't as, I want to say, as popular as he was when he started winning the championships. This is kind of, you know, hopping from college to NBA type of transition. So you heard of Michael Jordan, but he wasn't really at his peak yet. So in saying that, you notice that the Air Jordan 1 Chicago, the original, dropped in 1985, and it didn't re-release until 1994. Now, that's when Air Jordan came back. That's when Michael Jordan came back out of retirement the first time. Because he retired, came back to the game, and then 1994, the Air Jordan 1 Chicago re-released again. So from that timeline, from 1985 to 1994, that's kind of a huge gap, right? So then it re-releases again in 2013, and that, to me, this version I just didn't like as much, just because of the Jordan logo on the back and then the Jordan logo on the tongue. But I kind of get it, because you see that done with different colorways, where you have the original OG and they kind of remove the Nike Air and they put the Air Jordan on. But in this case, Jordan 1 really didn't have anything on the back of the heel. So to see this version, it was like, that's... But then again, it released in 2015, and of course, this is the popular version because a lot of people did like this, and of course, it didn't really pay homage to the original with that old 85 cut, and I know that's what a lot of people want to see, the original OG. So when they created the Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found, aka the Chicago of 2022, they basically, the whole concept is, okay, well, this is an Air Jordan that's been sitting in a mom and pop shop, buried in a bunch of boxes, and a year later you find it with a mismatched box. And I'm going to get into that, at least the cover. I'm going to get into that momentarily once we get inside the actual shoe. But, you know, just kind of giving you a synopsis of everything. But that's the whole concept. It's an age vintage Air Jordan 1 Chicago that somebody has found in a mom and pop shop, and oh my God, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Now, with that said and done, I'm going to say this and say this once and once only. This is the pair that I got from the early, not a shock drop. It was exclusive access from the Nike app. So this is coming directly from Nike. It's not coming from eBay. It's not coming from StockX. It's not coming from Gold. This is exactly how it's coming. So with that said and done, man, let's get into the shoe. Now, for those that are wondering, make sure my address is not showing. Nike did send this Air Jordan 1 Chicago in a regular box. This is not one of those boxes where you have the Nike tape strapped up around it. So at least that's a good thing. I mean, you have to look really close to make sure it's an actual Nike delivery. So just want to put that out there for anybody wondering before your pairs come in. Hopefully this will be the theme in the Air Jordan 1 release, with this slated to release, if I'm not mistaken, August 19th. If I have the wrong date, if I'm saying the wrong date, I'll have it corrected somewhere down there. So that's the box. Let's get the box out of the way. Let's get into the shoe box, because this one is quite interesting. So, of course, you've seen it before, you've seen it again, but this is direct from Nike. So when you're looking at the box itself, you'll notice that it does have the original Air Jordan 1 box, but the lid is different. And you're looking at here, you can see that it has a sticker on there, but this is kind of printed on there to a certain point. It's kind of showing how back in the day when the original Air Jordan, the 85 version, actually went on retail for $65, which obviously is not much now, but you know, back then it was a lot. And because of the high-priced Air Jordan 1 back then in the 80s, and the mom and pop shops back then, these shoes tend to sit because people couldn't afford it. So you could see the Air Jordan 1 Chicago in a mom and pop shop, and 1 year later, still sitting on the shelves, but at a marked down price. So you see the whole sale on the box here. Now, you're looking on the box, it has that vintage effect, you know. And by design, I feel like this is great. And when you're looking at the lid, you notice that the lid is different from the actual box itself. And that's because this replacement lid that they put on here is actually from the Air Jordan KO, which is this version. So I'm using this because this is my only AJKO in my lineup. This is the Billie Eilish collaboration. But this version, the AJKO from the Air Jordan 1, that's this box, for those that did not know. So let's take this off. And the one thing I'm going to say off the bat before we actually get into the shoe is that this came direct from Nike. And that invoice that you see on everybody's timeline did not come with this box. I am not bugged out about it, but I just want to show people that this is kind of mimicking the original 1985 release. You have an invoice or a receipt showing that whole how things were printed, documented back then with a mom and pop shop. So you'll see on the, if I'm not mistaken, on the right, you should see the original Air Jordan 1985, a copy of it with its invoice. And then the Chicago version, which was released this year, you'll see the invoice. So it's fictional, it's not an actual shop, but it's just basically showing you how, kind of like a comparison from back in the day, how things were documented back then versus what you'll be seeing now into the shoe. It's for props, for decoration. Perfect. It's perfect by design. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the original Air Jordan 1 1985 version came with the tag, the kind of Air Jordan logo tag that's kind of hanging off the shoe. You do not get that with this version, but that's okay. Now, this wax paper that they have featured and covered in the shoe when you open the box up, this is filled with, it's like a newspaper ad. So think of newspaper ads that displays Air Jordan, I want to say the clothes, the shoes at a sale price. I'm going to try to kind of zoom in so you can see a little bit of that in there. So I like that by design. You got that newspaper showing the different illustrations of the sale for the Air Jordan 1 back then when things were marked down. Now, with that said and done, man, let's get straight into the shoe. Again, direct from Nike. So, let me pull these bad boys out. And I really do hope a lot of people get a chance to get this shoe, because I feel like, you know, some people were kind of gloating from the 2015 release. They're saying, ha, 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 you don't have the original version, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to take the wax paper out for anybody that's not wondering that, what about the quality issues that people have been talking about? And, you know, I've noticed I'm putting the sleeves up. I haven't seen that so far with my pair from Nike. But I'm going to do the little flat test because people are saying that it was wobbling like this and whatnot. But you can see right there, it sits flat. So I can tell you right now, the outsole looks good. Let me put the box down here. And we have the Air Jordan 1 Chicago direct from Nike. Now, I just had to put that in there. But if you're looking at it, it does come with 2 sets of laces. And the way Nike did it is white on the top, black on the bottom, so you can see that right there. I felt like that's a good touch to it. You will be seeing the on feet afterwards with the white and the black, and I'll also have kind of like either a video or a picture showing the subtle difference between the two when they're both laced up. Of course, let's look at this real quick, because the whole cracked leather effect, kind of like a sail. I say this is sail. It's not really white. It's definitely sail. Actually, by design, this cracked leather that you see on the quarter panels and the toe box, and actually even on the midsole, this reminds me of, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the turbo greens, right? This is around the time when the Jordan 1s were coming out like crazy, and they gave you that cracked leather effect, or they gave you that old vintage effect. And this kind of reminds me of the same in terms of color schemes, because it is exactly the same. So, you know, you got the turbo green right here, but you got the Jordan 1 Chicago, man. This is looking good, looking real good. And of course, you got the cracked leather by the heel. Oh, man. And actually, what I'm going to show you an enhanced picture, because I don't think you can see the cracked leather on the white, or the sail portion of this colorway, unless it's enhanced. So you'll be seeing a couple pictures right here on the side. And of course, you know, with every single Air Jordan 1, at least the vintage. You can see that it has the Nike Air on the tongue, as well as a Wings logo on the side for both shoes. And I'll say this. This is a shoe, in my opinion, it's going to be a must cop for a lot of people, even if you're not even in the shoe game or if you just entered the shoe game, because this colorway, although this is not the original Air Jordan 1 colorway that Michael Jordan wore for the first time on the court, it's still a highly coveted colorway just because of, you know, look, there's a Chicago Bulls colorway. It's something about red, white, and black that just gets people, let's get that adrenaline pumping, right? So you're looking on the bottom, of course, you got that kind of aged effect outsole, and I love what they did with this release because to me, although it's a vintage effect, it still holds that Air Jordan 1 Chicago. And of course, me personally, this is my first pair of Air Jordan 1 Chicago colorway in the Magnificent lineup. So I am thrilled and honored to actually have this kind of ahead of the release, and feeling this, it actually feels good. The one thing I say about Air Jordan 1s is the thickness of that whole sock liner. If anybody's wondering, it is not thin. It's not thin like this. This has some padding in it, and you know what? I'll put a video right here so you can see me kind of gripping it. But it does have padding all the way around. And that's kind of how I like my Air Jordan 1s, knowing that once I put my foot in there, even though that cushion towards the outsole, it's a little stiff, as long as the padding is around the heel, I'm good to go. But your boy Magnificent Man, again, this is the Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found Chicago's. Whew. Thank you. Thank you, Nike. Really appreciate it. And comment below. Let me know what you think about this version of the Air Jordan 1 Chicago. Do you feel like this is probably one of the best versions that have released in a long time? Me personally, again, I love the concept, the fact that this is an Air Jordan 1 Chicago aged over time. And look, aged like fine wine. But your boy Magnificent Man, now let's do that on feet. I am out for now. And you guys, again, don't forget, November 19th, I should say. So it was supposed to release back then, but it kept getting pushed back, and I got the old dates in my November 19th. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there. But your boy Magnificent Man, I am out. You guys, stay blessed.
Anywhere you go, give it on. Anywhere you said, anywhere.
It's your boy Magnificent and Firebox teaming up because we would like to give you guys 10% off any Firebox merchandise. All you have to do is click the link in the description below, use code MillyMilk, and you're on your way. I am out. You guys, stay blessed.